Welcome everyone to Just 30, where we trial video games so you don't have to. I'm joined today with... Don't laugh! That was
You
great!
stole that.
What? Did I?
You stole that. Yeah.
That's like the most generic intro whatever ever.
Well, it's too late now. We should just keep going and
Alright,
pretend you did it on
you
purpose.
ruined my intro.
Yep.
Talking at the other end is my co-commentator, the man who is braving the storms of the north. How are you doing, Patch?
I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
Well, I'm feeling a little bit gated now that you cut out my intro by laughing.
Oh,
uh,
well.
so, what game are we playing today?
We are playing a Curious Expedition. Or in my
Yes.
video file, a Curious What Am I Doing Help.
I was going to ask you to bring that up, because yes, that was quite funny. A curious
That's
expedition.
makes makes
No.
Yep.
We have a format, follow the format.
Okay. Yep.
First question, would you recommend this to someone?
Yes. Which surprised me, but I'll go into that later.
Me? No.
Wow.
Alright, second question. I'm leading because you have the questions.
Yep.
I don't know what the second question is.
It was expectations.
Expectations. Okay,
Do you
going
want me
into
to describe
this,
a bit?
me first.
Oh, okay.
I had no expectations beyond knowing this was indie, and I expected it to not be RPG Maker style, which in my opinion is like a step up in quality. Beyond that, no expectations. How about you?
No, looking at the game, I wasn't sure what to expect. It definitely looked a lot different to most things I've played before. Um, kind of felt it. I don't know. I wasn't sure. It looked like it was going to be played on a grid. I wasn't sure how big the hex grid, was going to be for the gameplay, and I definitely didn't know, um, what I was getting into really. So it was definitely going blind. Um, I don't know. I didn't really have many expectations. I know I brought up this question specifically myself,
No, that's alright.
but
That's the whole point.
this
It
one I
gives
kind of just went in
context
blind.
to whether we liked it or not based on our expectations.
Yeah, I sort of just picked it because it looked interesting and it said it was roguelike. So I had an expectation of what a roguelike is. And yeah, so I just went for it.
Alrighty. At this juncture, I'll just mention because Patch can't actually. He doesn't have the dual screen that he's looking at like we are, but you can
Yeah.
see that I actually put our names on who's playing what. So if one of us references something that happens, you can understand who we're actually talking about. Also, I switched me
Yeah.
to the top just because I do the editing, thus I get preference. So yeah. Dear. In your game, I started with the tutorial, and you threw
There's a
yourself.
tutorial.
It's on the main screen.
Oh,
So
so there is.
I did
Sorry, I
that,
went back real quick.
and I did the tutorial, and I got to like a certain point, and I was like, I don't think is that it? The tutorial was, it was so weird. It showed like it probably did enough because it taught me the game, but I just finished it. I'm like, is that it? I don't know if there was more and I could have done more or what, but I kind of completed a tutorial mission and was just sort of like, pat yourself on the back and go home.
Yeah, so I didn't notice the tutorial. I just changed my options around and then went straight into new game. And I accidentally clicked on someone twice, which selected them as my player character. Um, so I didn't even know who or what I was playing. Started straight out and just went for it. And it went pretty absolutely awfully for me in that first run. But these kinds of games, they're all about that learning experience. So even though the first game went awfully, I expected it to, and I guess that was my expectation. Was I didn't plan to win the
we've
first time. I didn't
we've
plan to.
also mentioned in the past this we have this like we had a joke where we were looking at games and we were talking about the definition of roguelike as a
Yeah,
concept, and it's like so many games are tagged as that, and in the same way that RPGs, like anything tagged as an RPG or mentioned critically as an RPG, is basically just anything with like some sort of level up system,
Or
or some
stats.
sort of like stats or equipment stacking on your character, whatever. Like that's what makes an RPG. In the same like vein as that, what makes roguelike is anything that has like basically chance to insta fail, so you have to replay. Would you agree?
Yeah, well, to some degree, the point of roguelike is to be that random element where if you are skilled enough at the game, you can win it pretty reliably, but sometimes you will just get absurdly bad luck and you won't be able to win. And that's not always a fault of the player, um, but it provides a much different experience every time you play.
And
So
so
it tends to be somewhat unforgivable.
as long as you have like a tiny element of that in your game, you're gonna get tagged as roguelike. And this game definitely
Yeah,
has that. Sometimes you might just lose. I don't know if the lands are procedurally generated or not, but it did
they
seem
are,
so.
I believe.
So yeah, there's always that chance that you just won't succeed.
Um, what I will say is that's not the actual like that's not the traditional definition of what a roguelike is.
No,
Because a
but that
traditional roguelike is basically just a text-based, not even text-based, like an ASCII RPG, where
but
you can
that's
interact with everything.
that's what like an
Um,
RPG is. Yeah.
yeah, and it was really about that interaction side of things. And so a lot of roguelikes aren't like that, and this isn't one of those. It's not very much like the traditional rogue game.
No. That doesn't make it any less fun though. There's
No,
a lot of different things on show here. Um,
I'll say I learned really quickly in this game. My
I,
first run is a total disaster, and then from there, because I did two more runs, I squeezed in two more, and I went to about 35 minutes or something.
okay.
And in each of those runs, I pushed the bar up and up of my performance as I sort of picked up the mechanics as I went. But I feel like the game is sort of, I don't want to say it's intuitive, but you can sort of, by observing the environment, get and understand the mechanics of the game without needing to be directly told them. With one exception, I think, and that was the combat, uh, where my first combat, I rolled the dice and then I went done. Nothing happened. I didn't realize I had to actually click on the dice to do the attacks. That seemed a little unintuitive to me because why would I not
Tutorial would
click
have
on the
taught you
dice?
that, sir.
Yeah, I know. It just
Yep.
seemed a little odd. But yeah,
I have
I
to
get
ask
that
you a
you can
question
fish for different things.
about
Yep.
your experience because you didn't see my stream. What was the craziest thing that happened during your game, like during gameplay, just without like context, just like
Oh,
I
I
stole
grabbed
this, I found this, I did this.
I took a trophy, a jewel, a gem or something from somewhere. Um, and when I did that, the entire world began to flood.
I had that event happen to me, and you know what?
What?
It flooded, and it like followed me, and I couldn't like I ran back to my ship, but it flooded
Yeah,
all around my ship, and I literally
yeah.
couldn't go anywhere. I don't know if that's meant to happen. I
No,
had
that is definitely meant to happen
I had
because
to
it
end the
happened to me.
expedition.
It happened to me in my third run as well.
Yep.
What actually happened was I did it in the third expedition, but this time instead of water, ice came, and the whole place got flooded with ice and turned into like this frozen wasteland. However, this was a lot deeper on the island than the water one, and so it didn't actually reach the edge of the land, and it quite clearly was like able to, um, not like you're meant to still be able to play on the map after using some of these.
Yep.
But what I also feel is that what you're meant to do is explore a bit, and then you come back, you pick that up.
Maybe that's the risk you take.
Yeah, and then you're meant to take that and leg it out. That's the last thing you're meant to do with those. Or yeah, it's just like a risk thing. Obviously, we didn't get a chance to see some variation. So.
Well, like we said, this is the roguelike element where you need to go in and replay it over and like this game really you need to replay it over and over and over. I'm looking on my screen, I'm looking at all the characters and the empty
Same.
portraits where it's saying you need to win 3 times to get this person. You need to get this much money to get this person, and unlocks them.
I noticed one of my adversaries was actually H.P. Lovecraft, which I thought was novel. Like, that was great. I thought, wow, yeah, I definitely want to. And that was the sort of things that kept me going. Was not just like I guess my failures in this game didn't feel like failures so much, because I didn't know what I was doing, and every time I failed, I was like, oh man, I want to see what happens next. I'm kind of interested. I'm invested. These cool things are happening. What else can happen? And so that was what kept me going, despite all the times that I lost combat, or my people started going crazy and I had to slaughter animals or anything like that. Yeah, it really motivated me.
Okay, so we've been talking about say our experiences, and I'm kind of cutting to sort of the fourth part because I want to come in at this point. You're talking about seeing, like, there's more stuff and you want to see it.
Yeah.
The reason I don't recommend this game to people is because I feel like I've seen pretty much how the game's going to play, and each event, in the case of, say, like the water and the ice, I think each event is going to be similar. Like, these are the ones that affect terrain, these are the ones that affect health, and I just didn't feel like playing beyond the first couple of hours would be rewarding, personally. Now maybe that's because I'm not a fan of roguelikes at all, like, in general.
I felt quite the opposite. I found that I saw the gameplay, I saw all this potential, because it wasn't just about the individual things, but it was also about stuff, you sort of read between the lines. For example, one of the things was, and I hovered on it for a moment in the character selection screen. One thing was fight a tiger or face down a tiger or something. I thought that's really cool. That means in this game, you can go to somewhere, maybe there's like a specific area like India or something that has tigers, and then you go to there and you have to fight a tiger to unlock this character. It's like that's something that makes me go, wow, I want to do that. And that's what I think the strength of roguelikes games is seeing that variation and being like, I want to do this time. Even again among games where they're not like the original Rogue. Most roguelike games, when you play them, you go, wow, I want to do this thing. I want to see this happen. I'm going to keep playing until I get that opportunity, get that environment where this circumstance comes up and something cool happens. And that's where I feel like this game actually does well as a roguelike. It really sort of shows its strength in that regard.
So it's more about whether you think there's enough content to keep you interested, right? So
yeah,
I think, like I say, I'm still on the no side, but I can understand the yes side. So maybe to the audience, that's a case of, if you kind of like the not the what if, but I can imagine this being a thing, I want to go and try it, then you will probably like this game.
Yeah. I found that I enjoyed it, and I didn't think I would, to be honest. Thought this wouldn't be a game for me, but then it turned out it was.
Going into it, yeah, you didn't sound that keen, but it's funny because I probably sounded really keen, and I come away like,
Well, that's why I was so surprised when you said you wouldn't recommend it, because I found that this game, even if you don't like, sure, it's if you don't like this kind of gameplay, then
but it's not just that. Like, definitely. I just feel like I like it in the sense that it's kind of RPG-ish as well. You've got a expedition like counter up, and you collect characters and stuff, and I don't mind that kind of game. Like I say, it's kind of RPG-ish at the same time, but I just don't feel like there was enough personally for me. I feel like I'd play it a few times and be like, okay, this is just the X event, this is the Y event. Maybe that's just cynical because I didn't give enough of a chance, but that was why I came to that conclusion.
Yeah. I will say, did you play with Charles Darwin?
No.
Because I think up until I played with Charles Darwin, I was actually not enjoying the game, which was my third run I played as him.
Okay.
The others I was still sort of fumbling around and I didn't get it. But then I picked him, and he's sort of the default character.
How did you end? Like, the first run I can understand, but the second run, like, I managed to complete 2 missions, 3 missions, I think. When I
No, I
did a
only
proper
really
run.
so I don't know if you've seen it yet, but on my screen I'm watching right now. I'm fleeing the village
Right.
um, after I've rescued a person from it, and then a native tribe comes after me, and
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what to do, so I ran back to the ship and I went home. Um, and I
Okay.
wasn't sure, exactly. And that was where I sort of learned the whole point of the game at that point. Because up until then, I didn't actually know, other than in vague terms, um, try and get treasure or something. I didn't really understand what I was trying to do and
Only
how I was
just
trying to
now
do
you're
it.
looking at your sanity meter, trying to figure out why am I insane.
Well, no, I sort of got that. Like, you needed some sort of a burden thing to stop you from going.
It's basically
But
it's food and stuff too. Food just
yeah.
fixes you up.
But yeah, it was interesting. I found that once I'd figured out um, all those mechanics, and I picked up Charles Darwin. The thing about Charles Darwin, and you'll see it if I get up to it in this conversation, is he has a machete. And what the machete does is it allows you to cut through trees.
Right.
And suddenly everything just sort of clicked for me, where I was like, oh, this item has a circumstantial use where it allows you to, you know, get around an obstacle in the world. And the more you know as a player, the more things you'll be able to deal with as a player. Like the more problems you'll be able to overcome because you'll know better.
Right.
And so when you pick a character, you'll pick that character because of the things they have and what they'll help you overcome. Like I probably wouldn't pick in the future characters with alcohol and chocolate and things that'll help them overcome their sanity because I feel like you don't need it as much compared to supplies that will help you navigate the map.
The
The
trick
drain on your
is
sanity is much more worse than the ability to explore.
the way I think this is though. If you are talking like long term, um, you can see your ship and you can store things on your ship. So
Yeah,
for things like you say, food, like thing is like what you might be doing is buying stuff now with the knowledge of in the future I might need it, if that makes sense. I might if a tribe says I'll give you a cheap deal, or a trader says I'll give you a cheap deal on machetes or on rope, for example, you
yeah,
might say, all right, I'll take that. I don't need 10 ropes for this campaign, but in the next I might take 3 to this one and put the others in my ship and take rope next time.
yeah.
So I think there's a whole like level of strategy. Like there's 3 difficulty settings, for example, and you can see that on the harder difficulties you need strategy and stuff. So I assume that at that point you have to really manage your inventory and things like that.
Well, I think part of the point is you're meant to return to your ship with treasures and things, drop them off, and go.
You
But
certainly
I
can.
also agree. The idea of buying snowshoes and then going to a place that isn't snow. Well, I'll just leave my snowshoes on the ship. It's not a big deal.
And the
Um,
other thing is probably the end. Like when you finish a mission, you go talk to the guy and you sell some of your loot and stuff like that.
yeah,
Um, I wonder if you get different prices. Like if you
I imagine you would
if you
based off
get
value because
pictures, for example. I wonder if
I
you get.
saw
Yeah.
I saw the NPCs. Like some of them had 4 treasures and 1, and others had 6
Yep.
and much less. So it was kind of interesting in that regard.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel so. If I wanted to criticize the game, um, I'd say some of the things, some of the elements, didn't feel fully, I don't know, great. I'm trying to think. I had something in mind just a minute ago
It's okay.
from the religious character.
I definitely
'Cause I
think
had-
there could be more things.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I didn't get a good chance to play out the game. I felt my party was very much just an extra arm, so to speak. And while they had different strengths and weaknesses, like things that they could contribute with, I didn't feel like that was significant enough for me to go, okay, I'll, pick this one over that one. And in fact, I didn't really get an opportunity
Let's
to
talk
pick one
party
over the other.
members. I had one, and I don't know if it was my character or just a random event or whatever, but I ended up with a like a commander, like come on the expedition with me, not a native.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I don't even think it was a sanity issue. I missed it on my recording. I went and hired a native, and my captain became a cannibal and ate him.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? And then my native became an alcoholic because I didn't feed him food. I fed him wine to get our sanity up. So I had some.
That's fantastic.
Like, that was fun. I have to hand that to it. That was great. I really enjoyed that. Can I tell you another thing that I really loved about this game? And again, it might just be a preference for me, but the music, the sound.
Yeah.
I loved it. I would play that intro on loop. Like, it's fantastic.
I didn't really notice it much myself, but yeah.
After this, start the game up and just listen to the intro. Just that opening tune. It's like what is it, 8-bit era sort of tune. It totally fits the type of art style they have. It's so cool.
Yeah.
I don't know, I really liked it. I'm the type of guy who will go on YouTube just to find Commodore 64 soundtracks and listen to them. So, but yeah, this was really nice, really fun. I mean, like I say, I agree that there's a lot here to like, and it's one of those, like, I don't want to really bring price into this discussion, but I can understand if someone basically went, well, it's not that expensive, I should just get it because I'll get a few hours and that's enough for me. And then if I like it more than a few hours, then it's like a bargain.
Yeah.
I get that. So that's my thing. My only criticism is that I worry that it would top out, which again, if it's an indie group and they want to keep developing it, then maybe it will get more and you'll be totally justified in what you're doing.
You're only meant to play for, what, 7 days or something? Like, your characters are only meant to... Sorry, 6 days I think it was. Your characters are only meant to, like, be going on 6 missions, is what I mean.
6 missions. I was 6 days. I'm like, no way, I played for many days.
For there is a conclusion to,
okay,
the mission. And I thought that was... that's sort of the thing. Like, this one has a conclusion where you're on a time limit. You have to do it right. You can't mess around.
You might have to trade off. Like, I can't go and do everything I want because I want to.
Yeah.
I need to get the objective. Or I found that in one of my missions, I played the tutorial in basically 2 missions or 3 maybe, and I didn't even finish. Like, I didn't find the thing that I went there for. But I actually made so much fame and money off all the other stuff. Like, I found this thing and I bought this thing from the natives and I did this and it was like, I probably did better. I don't know. Maybe I didn't because I didn't get the mission finish bonus, from getting a place out of the top 5 or 6 people. But at the same time, I made that up in just artifacts and stuff.
Yeah. No.
Your stream just picked up me joining Football Manager on Steam.
Yes. You're about a minute behind me, I think. So you're about to see me engage the hyena.
Oh no.
In which case you'll
So combat was so small an element to this game compared to what I thought.
Yeah, I agree.
Thought it was going to be huge. Meanwhile,
and I feel that's good.
Fire in the forest.
I feel like that's a good element of the game. Is combat should not be overstated. Shouldn't be, going all out with combat. Right. It should just be sort of a section of the game.
I think they need I'm just watching your combat. They need like a tooltip or a thing on the right that's like
select your dice.
Re-explain to me what's going on. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You just rolled and you had like 10 dice on the thing, and I'm like, well, I kind of get it. You're meant to like take a couple and store them, and then it's like if you've ever played poker, not hold'em poker, normal poker, you get X cards and you go, oh, I don't want these ones, give me some more. And that's what you sort of do with your dice, I think, to create a combo that does something in your turn, but it's a bit hard to really understand. I think in your combat, that's what you're not doing. Like you say, you're not actually clicking the dice, you're just re-rolling.
I didn't click the dice at all, so they didn't do anything at all.
You just sat there and got eaten over and over by hyenas.
Yeah, which was what really put me off a bit.
And so you really need that as like active help, because combat.
Yeah, you just need something that says pick which dice, like select a dice, and then you go, oh, okay, I click on the dice to choose which one I want to use,
Right.
and then that would sum it up for you.
Yep.
But
Excuse me. Sorry.
it's okay. My next run was a lot better. It really went well. At least I feel it went well. Obviously, we're all still new, and
I think you
so
could
on,
definitely get a lot
but-
better. Like I say, if you get used to managing this, that, and the other, I think you would get way better. It looked like it when you started, and I don't know if you're getting better on your final run, but you didn't understand like overburdened versus like how it like rails your sanity and stuff.
yeah, it's really
You have to try
really
and stay
bad.
under your inventory limit, otherwise you just can't walk anywhere and stuff.
Yeah, and by the third one, yeah, I'm really on that, and getting through it. And yeah, I don't know, I can't. There's not a lot more I can say about the game, just because it feels so minimal that anything deeper we'd have to go. I'd have to play it more. I'd have to talk about mechanics.
Okay, so do you think after 30 minutes you've got a good grasp on what the game's going to be like, or do you think there's a lot more, like if you had to come and redo this review in a few hours worth of gameplay, do you think you'd have more?
I think I have a good idea of what is in the game, but I also feel like there's a lot of room for me to continue learning how to be good at the game, and that's the main difference.
Right.
Is I feel like I know this game, how it plays, but I feel like I could get better at it, and it would be, a more interesting game as I learn more about the deep depth of mechanics and experience more things and know what's coming. Because that's another big part of these games, is knowing what you could potentially get, and knowing what you can gamble on, and gambling on that, to try and see how you do.
Right.
Also, the
I can
level up was
understand.
pretty good.
The level up?
The level up system was pretty good. The perks when you go home, that was
Yes.
pretty good.
And also you get like expedition leveling, and you can use that to upgrade your characters. I don't think you did that. I only did it a couple of times, but there's a little star on the right hand side, and that's like
Yeah.
your expedition level, and you can use those points to upgrade characters. You can't actually, I don't think you can manually pick them, but they have like, here's their 3 traits, and if they're level 5, they get this one, and so you can sort of
Yeah.
level them up and stuff. So there's like, there's growth and room and time. That's why I'm surprised that you only get six missions to finish your conclusion, because this
Well,
looks like the
I
type
think-
of thing you could probably just play indefinitely, and every 6 missions maybe you do like an award or something, but yeah, over time.
I think the idea is, if you do it, the right way, and you know how to really play the game well, then 6 missions is more than enough, because you'll start coming home with bags of loot.
Yep.
If you know how to pave and navigate, and know risks, and know, how to manage your sanity really well, know how to have a good team, and you sort of basically do most of the map
Especially
without too
because
much
you
trouble.
don't lose just because you're not first.
Yeah,
Like, there's no difference between being last by a day and last by like 20 days in an expedition.
yeah.
So if you
And
lose,
so-
you might as well just, well, I'm gonna go from corner to corner of this damn map.
Yeah, so long as I can bear it with my suppliers, crew, and
Right. But like you say, you could be self-sustaining by the time you like if you get the trading going and you have the right character traits and
Yeah.
all that stuff. That's fair enough. Well, we're nearing the end, and we've
We
already
are.
mentioned we kind of are running out of things to really talk about. So final
I just wanna-
thoughts? Yep.
Well, I just wanted to reiterate: would you still not recommend this game?
No, I wouldn't play this anymore. I feel like
Wow.
I've seen just about, like, to me it's just like, yeah, okay, so this event needs a rope, this event needs a missionary, this event needs a torch, but to me that's just one event with 3 different options. To me
No,
that's
fair
not
enough.
more interesting.
Actually-
This is 30 minutes, so I could be wrong, but that's where I got out of that.
No, I kind of felt that. I don't know. I guess this is just sort of my kind of game.
Yep.
Where, despite those things you said, despite this is this event, this is that event, I felt like I'd be able to really enjoy it.
Well,
You know?
there's learning to be had. Like, in the sense
It might just be
of
a game for me. So
yeah, like there's learning to be had. Like there's heaps to do. It's just a matter of if you're going to enjoy doing that. And you might say, yeah, well, it was
yeah,
fun when the ice came out, but I want to do a mission where I go back and walk over the ice. Whereas me, I'm like, oh, the ice came out. I don't really want to do that again. Like, sorry, I'm just watching the water flood out and me get trapped on my boat now.
yeah, you're probably about where I'm about to do the same with ice,
Yeah.
which is amazing. I actually thought that was really cool as well. I was like, wow, maybe one's a volcano, maybe one,
And it
you know,
is like
this, maybe one's that.
I don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the time that I played, but if you're asking if I would buy this and keep playing it, no. Like that's my thing.
Well,
I
fair
feel
enough.
like 30 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe two, but I feel like I would get really sick of it really quick, and I kind of want
No, I
a
think
bit more staying
game would be
power for my
great.
game. But anyway, well there you have it, folks.
Which is funny because I thought we would both agree that niche is a no, whereas you said yes for that game. So
yeah, I
it was
probably
like the complete opposite to what I expected.
look a bit hypocritical in the sense that, you know, I don't like the replayability of this, but I appreciated the replayability of niche a little bit. But
Well, I think
at
the
the
difference
same-
was niche had more to learn, whereas this you feel like you know what
Right.
you're getting into, and that's enough.
And this was, and like I say, I don't want to like hank on it too much, but I feel like this would grow outward but thinner. You know, like you get more people, you get more stuff, but it's just the same, except you have different characters and more inventory, but it's the same. Whereas
Yeah.
niche was like minimalistic. Even if you had like 4 or 5 party members, you could be down to 2 or 3 again because
Yeah.
it's just the way it plays. So there's heaps to do, but it's more easy to manage, and I feel like that's more what I preferred. But anyway, so that's just
Yeah,
30
fair
for
enough.
this one. I say I enjoyed this. I didn't not enjoy it. I'm glad we got a chance to look at it. Hey, look, you clicked on some dice and did something.
Yeah.
2 damage to Panther. You've got it. It's good
Yeah,
that it's
I figured out
teaching-
the combat,
I
and
figure,
once I
like-
figured out the combat, I thought it was great.
I guess like it's telling you the moves as you put the dice on. So that tooltip I was
Yeah.
talking about explaining the dice probably helps. So it's probably there. We probably just didn't quite get to it.
Yep.
Anyway, we might wrap it up there. So thanks.
Yeah, that's about all for my run.
Thanks a lot for listening, and we will see you guys next time. Probably a couple of weeks, to be honest, because I'm going on a little trip. Actually, I'm going on a little trip to go and see this man in person and shake his hand. All right. Well, thanks for your time, and we'll catch you next time.
Catch you next time.
Bye.